Welcome, chosen ones. Here's the truth. Life isn't always fair, and sometimes it feels like the wrong people get to win while you're left dealing with setbacks and silence. But what if that silence has been a time of unseen preparation? What if every moment of resilience, every time you chose to rise above the pettiness and pain, was setting the stage for something bigger than you imagined? When you're chosen, your path isn't like everyone else's. You've been tried and tested, made stronger through challenges that would have crushed others. This is why you don't settle. This is why you don't bow to those who belittle, betray, or plot against you. And soon, everything will come full circle. God doesn't overlook the truth, and He doesn't ignore loyalty. When He steps in, it's with a purpose so undeniable that even your enemies will have to take a step back. God is about to shine a light that reveals who you are, and when He does, it's going to shift everything. It's not revenge. It's restoration, a way to finally lift off every ounce of unfairness and to bring a celebration that will quiet every doubt. In this next season, you're not just reclaiming what's yours, you're walking into blessings that were meant for you all along. Stay rooted in who you are. Don't let anger or bitterness cloud the peace and strength you've built. When the time comes, you'll know it was worth every single struggle, because what's ahead isn't just a win. It's a divine recognition of who you've always been. I urge you to stay with me until the 14th point for better understanding as chosen ones you are. Number 1. Your comeback will be their worst nightmare. When someone goes out of their way to bring you down, they expect you to stay there, defeated and broken. But when you rise, when you come back stronger and more determined than ever, that's when their worst nightmare begins to unfold. It's not just about your success. It's about the fact that they failed in their mission to destroy you. They spent all that time and energy trying to hold you back, and in the end, it only fueled your comeback. That's a kind of humiliation they can't escape. Watching you thrive is like a mirror that reflects everything they tried to hide. Their insecurities, their jealousy, their fear of your potential. Your rise doesn't just hit them at a surface level, it cuts deeper. It exposes how much effort they put into trying to crush you. And yet you're still here, still standing, still moving forward. That's the ultimate defeat for them. They thought they could break your spirit, but instead, they've only highlighted your strength. Their failure to stop you becomes their biggest regret. Every step you take forward, every milestone you hit, it's like another reminder of how little power they actually had over you. What makes it even worse for them is that your success isn't something they can ignore or downplay. It's visible, undeniable. They'll see you achieving things they once thought were out of your reach, things they tried to prevent. And in those moments, they'll be forced to confront their own failures. They'll wonder why they didn't see your potential from the start, why they couldn't break you like they thought they could. But by then, it's too late. Your comeback will be so undeniable, so powerful, that all they can do is watch in silent frustration as you continue to rise, knowing deep down they were never capable of stopping you in the first place. Number 2. Their downfall will happen in the same arena where they once tried to shame you. When someone sets out to shame or dismiss you, they often do it publicly, trying to make their point in front of others. They might mock you, undermine you, or try to cast doubt on who you are, all to build themselves up while pushing you down. They think they've won when they put you on display. Sure, their words or actions will somehow define you. But here's where the twist comes in. The same stage they used to tear you down will be the exact place they're brought low. That space where they boasted or judged, where they tried to make you small, will now be the scene of their own humbling. This kind of irony isn't just satisfying, it's almost poetic. They set the stage thinking it would be their victory platform, unaware it would turn into their biggest lesson. There's nothing more powerful than watching someone face their own actions in the very environment they created to attack others. It's one thing to be exposed in private, but when it's on the same platform where they once held themselves high, the impact hits harder and sinks deeper. For those who tried to shame you, this downfall is a direct message, a reminder that nobody stands untouched forever, especially when their power comes from tearing others down. They're forced to experience the very thing they tried to inflict. Suddenly their confidence shakes, and they're left vulnerable, seeing just how thin the line between triumph and downfall really is. Meanwhile, you're no longer standing on that same stage with them. You've moved on, risen above. This isn't about waiting around for their failure, but about understanding that sooner or later, justice has its way. And when it happens in the same arena where they first tried to put you in your place, it's more than just payback. It's proof that the truth, in all its fairness, has finally settled the score. Number 3. They will become a lesson for others. When people treat others unfairly, they often believe they're above consequence. They might feel untouchable, as if no one will ever hold them accountable for their actions. But when justice steps in, it doesn't just bring them down. It turns their downfall into a powerful example for everyone watching. It's not a lesson you have to preach or explain. People see it unfold and understand immediately. Actions have consequences, and no one is above that truth. As your enemies face the consequences of their actions, the message resonates far beyond just them. Their arrogance, their attempts to put others down, and their disregard for integrity all come back to haunt them in a way that no one can ignore. It's as if the universe uses them as a cautionary tale, showing everyone what happens when pride and cruelty go unchecked. They become the living proof that mistreating others has a cost, one that eventually comes to collect, no matter how long it might take. For those around them, watching this unfold becomes a stark reminder. It's a lesson that goes deeper than words because it's happening in real time. People see that no matter how powerful someone appears, no matter how much they might seem above the rules, justice has a way of catching up. It's a humbling experience for everyone who might have been swayed by their charm or convinced by their manipulation. In seeing their downfall, people learn the value of integrity and respect, and the real consequences of ignoring those values. Your enemy's downfall also serves as a quiet victory for you, not because you wished for their suffering, but because it affirms that staying true to yourself was the right path all along. You didn't have to lower yourself to their level or seek revenge. The lesson they now embody is something you couldn't have delivered yourself. By simply living out the consequences of their own actions, they become the message: mistreat others, and eventually you'll answer for it. It's a lesson that won't be easily forgotten by anyone who witnesses it. Number 4. Their downfall will liberate those who are silently suffering. When someone who's been causing harm finally faces the consequences, it's not just about justice for you, it's a release for everyone who's been quietly suffering under their influence. Enemies often operate by keeping people in check, creating fear or tension that forces others to stay silent, feeling powerless. But when that enemy's reign begins to crumble, it's like chains breaking one by one. People who felt trapped, who never thought they'd see a way out, suddenly feel a shift. It's as if a weight lifts that everyone has grown used to carrying, but never believed could be removed. The fall of someone who's abused their power has an impact that ripples outward. People who were too afraid to speak up start finding their voice. They watch someone they once feared being brought down, and it's a reminder that no one is untouchable. The enemy's downfall becomes a catalyst, a moment of courage for those who needed to see that even the strongest facades can crack. It's not just about bringing one person to justice, it's about ending an environment where fear has silenced people for too long. Those who've been quietly enduring often feel isolated, as if they're the only ones suffering. But watching the truth come to light is a validation of everything they've felt, all the hidden struggles they've carried. They realize they weren't alone, and that recognition alone is empowering. It encourages others to step out of the shadows, knowing they have a chance to rebuild, to heal, and to finally live free from the influence of someone who once held power over them. This kind of liberation is profound because it shows that justice doesn't just impact the person directly involved. It frees all the lives that person touched negatively. The tyrant's fall sends a message. Nobody can keep people under their thumb forever. And for those who've been waiting, hoping for some sign of change, this is their moment of release. It's a new beginning, one that's no longer haunted by the presence of someone who held control over them. The end of that influence is the start of something stronger, a collective relief, and a reminder that no one's reign of harm is permanent. Number 5. The humiliation isn't random. It's calculated. Sometimes people think they can get away with anything, convinced they're untouchable. They may lie, manipulate, or try to undermine you, assuming their actions will go unnoticed or that the truth will stay hidden forever. But there's a bigger plan at work, one that operates on a different level of wisdom and patience. This isn't about petty revenge or some quick fix for the pain they caused. This is about divine justice, the kind that doesn't act on impulse but strikes when the timing is perfect. When God steps in to humble your enemies, it's not random or impulsive. Every part of it is carefully timed and measured, done in a way that exposes who they truly are without you having to lift a finger. The truth comes to the surface not as a whisper but as a force that cannot be ignored or silenced. This isn't about embarrassing them for sport. It's about showing them, and everyone else, what's been hiding beneath the surface. It's a strategic unveiling that leaves no room for excuses, revealing intentions and actions for what they really are. For your enemies, it's a wake-up call that shatters their illusions. They're confronted with their own actions in a way they can't deny, and they're left questioning why they ever thought they'd go unchallenged. This moment forces them to reconsider their choices, making them think twice before they dare to harm or deceive others again. The humiliation isn't about destroying them. It's about bringing them to a place where they finally see their own flaws and failures. For you, it's a reminder that you're not alone in this. Divine justice works quietly but powerfully, ensuring that no wrong goes unanswered. In the end, what unfolds isn't just an answer to your pain, but a testament to the fact that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, will always find its way to the light. Number 6. They'll realize the strength you had all along. When people try to break you, they often assume that they've succeeded. They think they've reduced you to nothing, that you're too hurt or too weak to bounce back. They take pleasure in your struggle, convinced that they've seen your limits and have pushed you to the edge. But what they fail to understand is that true strength isn't always obvious, especially when you're going through something difficult. It's easy for others to mistake silence for weakness or patience for passivity. But when you rise again, stronger than ever, that's when the truth hits them like a wave they never saw coming. They'll finally understand that you've been carrying a strength they could never have anticipated, one that was always within you, even when they thought they had broken you. As you stand tall, they'll see their own doubts and judgments for what they were: foolish. Their actions, their underestimation, and their attempts to weaken you now seem pitiful in comparison to the strength you display. Every step you take forward, every moment you don't back down, it forces them to face their own flaws. They realize that what they saw as your fragility was merely the calm before the storm. Your silence wasn't defeat, it was preparation. Your stillness wasn't surrender, it was strategy. When you finally show the world the full scope of your resilience, those who once doubted you will have no choice but to confront the reality they ignored. They'll have to admit to themselves that they misjudged you, and in doing so, they'll see the depth of their own weaknesses. It's a humbling realization for them, and it's something they won't be able to shake off. The truth that you were strong all along will sink in, and the same people who tried to tear you down will have to come to terms with the fact that they were never capable of breaking you. Number 7. They will lose the support of those they misled. Manipulators thrive on the illusion of support. They surround themselves with people who believe their false narratives, people who buy into the facade they've carefully crafted. These manipulators rely on the cheers and validation of others to prop up their sense of power, but the moment their true intentions are exposed, everything begins to unravel. The audience they once controlled will no longer buy into their lies. The people they deceived will start to see through the act, and that's when the walls come crashing down. At first, it might seem like they still have the support they need, but it's fragile. The minute people realize they've been misled, that's when the shift happens. The very supporters who once admired them will feel betrayed, realizing they were manipulated into believing something that wasn't true. And when this truth hits, they'll start to withdraw. They'll turn their backs one by one until the manipulator is left with nothing but a hollow shell of the influence they once had. The key to manipulation is always control. But once the truth emerges, control slips away like sand through fingers. People don't like to be made fools of. They don't want to be associated with someone who is exposed as deceitful. And so, the supporters that were once so loyal will start to distance themselves, unwilling to be part of the downfall. The manipulator's power base will dissolve, and their influence will collapse in front of their eyes. What's left after that? A lonely existence built on lies. All the connections they once had, all the people they thought they could use, will vanish as quickly as they came. Their influence will crumble, and the empty spaces they once filled with lies will be replaced with the cold reality of isolation. It's a bitter consequence for those who thought they could manipulate the world and still walk away unscathed. But in the end, they'll be left with nothing but the consequences of their own actions. Number 8. Your journey becomes a testament to real power. People often mistake loudness for power, thinking that the ones who shout the most are the ones who command respect. But real power doesn't need to make a spectacle of itself. It doesn't need to fight for attention. True strength is revealed in how you handle adversity, how you rise when everyone expects you to fall. Those who try to break you will be shocked when they see you stand tall, unshaken, and steady. Your ability to stay grounded even in the most chaotic moments becomes the ultimate testament to your resilience. You don't need to scream to prove your worth. Your actions speak louder than any words could ever do. While others crumble under pressure, you show them what it means to endure. When the storms hit, when people try to knock you down, you keep moving forward. Every setback becomes another stepping stone in your journey. You don't seek validation or recognition in the struggle. You just keep going, keeping your focus sharp, your mind clear. This calm under fire is what true power looks like. It's not about dominating the moment. It's about mastering yourself through it. As the tables turn and others see you rise, they'll realize that the loudest voices aren't the strongest ones. The ones who survive, who thrive, are the ones who know how to stay quiet when chaos surrounds them. They don't need to prove anything to anyone. They simply live their truth, allowing their journey to do the talking. And when it's all said and done, people will look at you and they'll understand. Real power doesn't announce itself. It quietly rises, showing the world that true strength is never about noise, but about being unshaken and unwavering in the face of everything life throws at you. Number 9. Their failures will keep haunting them long after you've moved on. When someone wrongs you, they might think that once they've achieved their goal, it's over. They think they can move on, leaving you in the past while they continue their journey. But God's justice isn't so easily erased. It's not just about one moment of reckoning, it's about the long-term consequences that follow. While you move on, growing stronger, they'll be trapped in the consequences of their actions. Their mistakes won't just be a passing moment, they'll stick with them, haunting their every step. They will watch you rise, and with every success you achieve, they'll feel the weight of their own wrongdoings. No amount of pretending, no act of moving forward will take away the regret that lingers. The mistakes they made, the hurt they caused, will follow them like shadows, reminders of what they did and how they failed. Those failures will be there, whispering in their ears every time they try to move forward, every time they try to find peace. What's worse, their actions will become a lifetime burden, one they'll never be able to shake. No matter how hard they try, they can never undo the damage they've caused. The damage they inflicted on others, and most importantly, on themselves, will echo long after you've moved on. While you are busy building and growing, they'll remain stuck in the past, unable to escape the consequences of their own choices. The regret will grow louder and louder as time passes, until it becomes a constant, painful reminder that they crossed the wrong person. The biggest cruelty isn't in seeing their downfall. It's in knowing that the real punishment is the lifetime of regret they must carry while you live free, unburdened by the weight of their actions. And no matter how much they wish they could undo it, they can't. That's the power of true justice. It's not just in the moment, it's a lifetime lesson. Number 10. Your victories will force them to question themselves. There's something about watching someone rise that can shake others to their core, especially when they've invested so much energy trying to see you fail. When your victories start stacking up, undeniable and unstoppable, it forces those who once doubted you to face a harsh reality. They can no longer hide behind their excuses or bitterness. The truth becomes too loud to ignore. You made it, despite everything they did to keep you down. For them, every achievement you reach becomes a mirror, reflecting their own insecurities and shortcomings. They'll start questioning themselves, wondering why their efforts to undermine you didn't work, why their bitterness couldn't hold you back. They'll wonder why their attacks fell short while you continued to soar. It's a deeply uncomfortable experience, and for some, it's a crushing one. When they can no longer deny your success, they're forced to confront the fact that their attempts to sabotage you were rooted in something much darker: envy, jealousy, or insecurity. But this isn't about you making them feel bad for their failures. It's about them realizing on their own that their own weaknesses were the real reason they couldn't stop you. You became the very thing they feared, proof that resilience and dedication outlast bitterness and hatred. While they were busy trying to drag you down, you were building something unbreakable. And now, as your success continues to shine, they can't escape the uncomfortable truth that their negativity didn't defeat you. It only made you stronger. The more you rise, the more they'll be forced to look at themselves and reckon with their own flaws. Your victories become the mirror they can't avoid, a reminder of their failed attempts and their own inability to stop what was meant to be. Number 11. Your peace will be their frustration. There's a certain kind of power in peace, especially when it's in direct contrast to the chaos others bring into your life. While they sit stewing in bitterness, jealousy, or regret, you'll be living in a space of calm and contentment. And that peace, it's going to drive them crazy. People who try to break you, sabotage you, or tear you down expect you to crumble, to fall into the same turmoil they live in. But when they see you thriving, unbothered by their efforts, it does something to them that's almost unbearable. It forces them to face the fact that they've wasted so much energy on something they could never control. Your peace becomes the greatest source of frustration for them. It's like a mirror that shows them the emptiness they feel inside. They'll watch you move through life with ease, while they're still caught up in their own emotional storms, unable to find any stability in themselves. They thought they could disrupt your flow, create drama, or pull you down, but instead, they've only exposed their own inability to find peace in their own lives. What they fail to understand is that peace isn't something you can steal. It's something that comes from within. And once you've tapped into it, nothing can shake it. And that's what eats away at them. It's not just that you're succeeding, it's that your calmness, your lack of need to react, becomes their worst nightmare. It's a reminder that they'll never have what you have, no matter how hard they try to destroy it. So, while they continue to fuel their own frustrations, your peace will remain unshaken, an even louder declaration of your strength. Their bitterness will eat them alive, while you live with a sense of tranquility that only makes them question how they ended up so far from it. Number 12. Their downfall isn't your victory, your strength is. Their downfall is just a chapter in the story of your strength. It's not about them getting what's coming to them. It's about what you discovered about yourself in the process. The real victory is how you grew, how you evolved, and how you became a force they could never reckon with. Their humiliation is just a side effect of your resilience, your unwavering focus, and the power you've built through the challenges they threw your way. What they failed to realize is that their attempts to break you were never about defeating you. They were the catalysts for your transformation. Every insult, every plot to tear you down only forged you into something stronger. Their efforts couldn't defeat you because they didn't understand the quiet power of persistence. They thought they could break you by hurting you, but instead, they unknowingly sharpened your resolve and deepened your character. Now, as you stand unshaken, what's undeniable is the strength you've gained. The public spectacle of their downfall isn't a reason to gloat, it's a reminder of how far you've come. While they were focused on destroying you, you were quietly building the unbreakable version of yourself, and that's the real triumph. Your success isn't defined by their failure, but by your own journey. You didn't need them to fall for you to rise. Your power was always inside you. It just needed the right tests to reveal it. And now, standing strong, you realize that their destruction is merely the reflection of the inner strength that now defines you. Your true victory isn't in watching them crumble, it's in knowing that you've transformed into someone they could never touch. Number 13. Their egos will be forced to acknowledge your resilience. Nothing hits harder than the realization that despite all their efforts, they couldn't break you. Your resilience becomes their silent defeat, a truth they'll carry deep inside even if they never speak it out loud. Every attack, every attempt to tear you down only bounced off you, and deep down they know it. The hardest pill to swallow isn't your victory. It's the quiet acknowledgement that they're up against something far stronger than they ever anticipated. Their egos are fragile, built on the idea that they control the narrative. They thrive on the belief that they can manipulate, intimidate, or break people down. But when you stand firm, when you rise despite their best efforts, it forces them to face the reality that their power doesn't work on you. They'll never admit it to your face, but internally, they'll be forced to recognize the strength you carry. And that's the most painful part for them. Having to confront the fact that their tactics failed against someone who refused to bend or break. It's an ego-shattering moment when they realize that no matter how much they try to shake you, no matter how much they push, they can't touch the core of who you are. Their need for control starts to unravel, and they're left with nothing but the uncomfortable truth that you're far stronger than they ever thought. So while they may never give you the satisfaction of hearing them admit it, their minds will never stop wrestling with the truth. You are unshakable. Their egos will be forced to bow to your resilience, a lesson they'll never forget. Number 14. Your silence will echo louder than their actions. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence. When people hurt you, betray you, or try to tear you down, they expect a reaction. They want to see you crumble, lash out, or lose control. But when you choose silence, it throws them off balance. You're not giving them the satisfaction of a response. Instead, you're choosing to rise above the noise, allowing your dignity to speak for itself. This kind of silence isn't weakness, it's a deep, unshakable strength that holds its ground without needing to fight. There's a certain power in watching someone maintain their composure, especially when they're being tested by others' attempts to drag them down. Your silence becomes an armor, and your resilience becomes the loudest statement you could ever make. It's not about pretending you aren't affected. It's about proving to yourself that their actions don't define you. Each time you choose silence over retaliation, you're telling the world and yourself that your worth isn't tied to their opinion, and your peace isn't theirs to disrupt. And here's where it gets even more powerful. Your silence puts them in a position where they have nothing left to use against you. The more they try to provoke you and get no reaction, the more desperate they become, eventually exposing their true intentions. It's as if they dig their own hole, caught up in their need to make you feel small, while you simply let them exhaust themselves. Over time, your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back all their insecurities and hidden motives, forcing them to confront their own flaws. When God steps in, He doesn't need you to justify or defend yourself. By staying silent, you allow the truth to do the talking. Your restraint shows strength, patience, and trust that justice will come. Meanwhile, they're left exposed, with their own actions echoing louder than anything you could ever say. And that's when you see the true power of silence. It's not the absence of a voice, but the presence of unwavering self-respect. In conclusion, you've walked through fire, faced storms, and stood firm in moments that would have broken anyone else. It wasn't by chance or luck. You were chosen for this path because you have a strength that defies explanation, a resilience that others can only envy. This journey hasn't been easy, but it was never meant to be. Every setback, every betrayal, every harsh word was shaping you, preparing you for the victory you're about to step into. The trials you endured weren't signs of defeat, they were signs of your calling. When God has a purpose for you, He allows challenges not to break you, but to build you into someone unstoppable. Now it's time for the tables to turn. The ones who tried to tear you down, who doubted you, who thought they'd succeeded in keeping you down, they're about to witness the strength that was in you all along. And this won't happen in silence. It will be a public display, a testament for everyone to see just how wrong they were about you. As you step into this season of celebration, remember that your story is far from over. This victory is only the beginning of what's in store. Embrace the moment because you've earned every bit of it. The hardships you went through will now serve as proof of the power within you, a reminder to everyone that real strength doesn't need to boast. It simply survives, grows, and thrives. And now it's your time to thrive. Let your peace, joy, and resilience be the loudest response to those who tried to harm you. You were chosen for this journey, and now you're chosen for victory. Thank you very much for watching until the end, chosen ones. You are blessed.